Hello, welcome to the Security Updates with me, Hamse Daabjeerin. In this program, we will be covering for you the latest stories that matter security in the African countries from West to Horn of Africa. Ahead on the program, Sudan and Ethiopia agreed to reduce border tensions. Tigray conflict looms over Ethiopia's elections. Sudan wants Ethiopian peacekeepers out of Abiy. Well-known Somali regional youth leader killed in Peletwine. Welcome to the program. Sudan and Ethiopia agreed to reduce tensions along their contested border following a meeting of military officials from both sides on Sunday. Military delegations from Sudan and Ethiopia met in the Galabat town of Gedaref state in eastern Sudan.
Military delegations from Sudan and Ethiopia met in the Galabat town of Gedaref state in eastern Sudan. The Sudanese side was headed by Brigadier General Babakar Ibrahim Al-Hajj, commander of the intelligence of the Eastern Military Region, while the Ethiopian delegation was chaired the head of the North Gondar in Amhara region. The meeting, which lasted 4 hours, reviewed the security threats to both sides, including the repeated attacks on Sudanese farmers and herders by armed Ethiopian militias and Ethiopian fears of the establishment of camps in eastern Sudan to host refugees from the Tigray and Kunuz nationalities. To halt the attack of the Ethiopian militia men from the Amhara region, who used to carry out bloody attacks on Sudanese farmers and kidnap some of them. The meeting further agreed to combat human trafficking, drug and arms smuggling. Also, the military from both sides reached an understanding to exchanging information about the prisoners, the reasons for their arrests and possible release. The two parties reaffirmed the need to prevent military training for the Ethiopian refugees, to expel farmers from the military areas and maintain the status quo on the border. A military source told the Sudan Tribune after the meeting. Ethiopian officials several times said the refugee camps are used as a rear base for rebel groups. The refugee camps are managed by the UN, Sudanese agencies for the refugees and humanitarian NGOs. The two military delegations agreed the demarcation of the international border should be discussed at the level of political leadership between the two countries. The last meeting of the Joint Political Committee between the two countries was held in Khartoum in December 2020. At the time, the Ethiopian delegation requested to discuss the border delimitation, but the Sudanese side rejected the request, pointing to the border agreement of 1902, 1903 and 1972 between the two countries. Ethiopia, which is under international pressure over the human rights violation in Tigray region, holds the delayed national and regional elections on Monday, 21 June.
International attention is much more focused on ongoing war in the country's Tigray region, where famine is affecting 350,000 people, but instead Ethiopia went poll on Monday, despite growing concern over credibility of the vote.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed promised the vote would be the most democratic in the country's history. Campaigning officially wrapped on Thursday, our issue isn't protecting Ethiopia's unity. Rather, it is making Ethiopia the strength of the Horn of Africa, Abiy said at a rally in Addis Ababa. 37 million people will be able to vote, with Abiy's ruling Prosperity Party favors to win. But under Abiy, Africa's second most populous nation has been dogged by instability that has killed thousands and displaced over 1 million people. In power since 2018, Abiy's reforms and a peace deal with neighboring Eritrea spurred optimism. But as a new election approaches, that surge of hope has diminished. Tensions over the dam Addis Ababa is building on the Nile have also surged in recent months, but it is the domestic crisis that worry observers the most. Top among the challenges is the grueling conflict in Tigray, in the northernmost part of Ethiopia, where votes will not take place. Fighting is still ongoing 7 months after federal troops were sent to confront an armed rebellion by the region's ruling party, the Tigray People's Liberation Front (TPLF). The humanitarian situation here is dire. The United Nations said 91% of residents are in urgent need of food aid. Elsewhere in the north, Amhara state also suffers from food insecurity, and like much of the country, it has also seen an increase in ethnic violence. Ethiopia's two largest ethnic groups, the Oromo and the Amhara, frequently clash. Here too, there won't be any voting. Several international players have also voiced concerns. The United States has condemned the imprisonment of opposition leaders, most notably Eskinder Nega, a long-time government critic who was jailed in September last year on terrorism charges.
Senior army officers claiming that they have killed a big number of Al-Shabaab fighters in the Sohr of Bai region. Al-Shabaab has neither confirmed nor denied this incident, though there have been military operations in the region for the past days. The Somali National Army said Monday its forces killed 15 Al-Shabaab fighters in the Bai region of Somalia, amid the ongoing military operation to flush out the group from the southern part of the country. During the operation, the army has also recovered weapons and other military equipment which the group has been using to mount attacks in the region. The mission said the operation was aimed at preventing future terrorist attacks. Al-Shabaab fighters have neither accepted nor denied these claims by the federal government of Somalia, while CBA cannot independently verify the accuracy of the matter. The government forces have intensified security operations against Al-Shabaab as the country prepares to hold presidential and parliamentary elections within the coming months. The group, which has been fighting to overthrow the government, has vowed to disrupt the elections. On several occasions, Somalia army forces said they will intensify security operations in the country to remove Al-Shabaab from the remaining areas, but the group still carries out attacks, military operations, explosive attacks, and assassinations in the country. The Economic Community of West African States has pledged to continue to monitor events in Mali following a coup before lifting its suspension from the regional bloc.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has pledged to continue to monitor events in Mali following a coup before lifting its suspension from the regional bloc. Mali has announced a new civilian government and promised to adhere to a roadmap to elections early next year after the coup in May led by Colonel Assimi Goïta. Colonel Goïta led a coup last August with other army officers to remove elected President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta after weeks of mass protests over corruption and long-running extremist attacks. Earlier in May, the West African regional body suspended Mali from its regional bloc in response to last coup, but stopped short of imposing new sanctions. Also, France, which has thousands of troops stationed in the war-torn country, suspended military cooperation with Mali. While speaking on the latest development in Mali, ECOWAS Commission Chief Jean-Claude Cassibru said after an ECOWAS summit in Ghana's capital, Accra, that there were positive developments from Bamako and the regional body will continue to observe as expected. He, however, said heads of state decided more monitoring was needed before lifting Mali's suspension. Meanwhile, Colonel Goïta has expressed his unwavering commitment to restore civilian rule in the country. The colonel appointed a civilian prime minister in keeping with international demands and said he would stage elections next February. Kamil Sadiq reporting for CBA TV.
The United Nations Special Representative of Secretary General for Somalia, James Swan, has called on Somali leaders, communities and partners to redouble the efforts to eradicate conflict-related sexual violence in the country.
I'm also pleased to appear jointly at the start with my dear colleague, Ambassador Francisco Madeira, Special Representative of the Chairperson of the African Union Commission.
The United Nations Special Representative of the Secretary General for Somalia, James Swan, has called on Somali leaders, communities and partners to redouble their effort to eradicate conflict-related sexual violence in the country. Mr. James Swan said this in his statement to commemorate this year's International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence in Conflict. The Special Representative of the Secretary General for Somalia then paid tribute to the survivors of conflict-related sexual violence and recognized with deep appreciation the effort of those who work tirelessly to prevent such violence and provide critical support for survivors. This year's global theme is Building Back Better, Supporting survivors of conflict-related sexual violence in the context of pandemic recovery, which in the wake of the pandemic requires an inclusive, survivor-centered and gender-informed approach. This includes amplifying the voices of women, girls, and all survivors, while at the same time addressing the root causes of the conflict and conflict-related sexual violence. Reports of sexual violence have significantly increased in Somalia in 2020 compared to the previous year, with the impact being compounded with the pandemic-related lockdowns and limited access to services and safe places. Rape and attempted rape were the most frequently reported forms of sexual violence in Somalia. Mr. James Wan, however, acknowledged the government of Somalia's continued commitment to eliminate sexual violence in conflict, specifically its effort to implement the joint communique on the prevention of sexual violence in conflict. He commended the recent Ministry of Defense's adoption of a human rights policy as well as issuing command orders prohibiting sexual violence through the respective chains of command of the army and police. The International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence in Conflict is commemorated every year on June 19, the day of the adoption of the First Security Council resolution to recognize conflict-related sexual violence as a weapon of war and threat to international peace and security. Kamel Sadiq reporting for CBA TV.
The African Union mission in Somalia police component has concluded 6 days training to enhance the skills of the Southwest State Police personnel in community policing to prevent crime and counter violent extremism. But we will be back after the short break.
Hello out there. Tune in to CBA TV, the voice of East Africa and beyond. There's so many people around the world who are watching along with you. Welcome again. The African Union mission in Somalia police component has concluded 6 days training to enhance the skills of the Southwest State Police personnel in community policing to prevent crime and counter violent extremism.
The African Union mission in Somalia, AMISOM police component, has concluded 6 days training to enhance the skills of the Southwest State Police personnel in community policing to prevent crime and counter violent extremism. The training is a collaboration with the Southwest State Administration, where 25 Southwest State police officers selected from police stations across the state were tutored in various aspects of policing. The AMISOM police component has the mandate to train, mentor, and advise the Somali police force and support stabilization efforts under the Somali-led transition plan. While closing the training, the Bay Region Police Commander, Colonel Amin Muhammad Husman, thanked AMISOM for supporting the capacity building effort of the Somali police force. The region police commander then urged the trainees to apply the knowledge and skills acquired to protect lives and property. Speaking at the training, the AMISOM police lead trainer in the Southwest State, Inspector Ezekiel Injagi, said the training was part of the ongoing capacity building support to ensure Somali security forces build relations with the community.
The participants have been able to run and also to acquire skills on prevention and countering violent extremism through community policing. So they have gained skills to incorporate the community in policing. The policing strategy that we are building in Somali Police Force is that is one which is community-based. The cooperation between the community and the police to ensure that safety and security is arrived or is reached.
Also speaking, the AMISOM Police Coordinating Officer in the Southwest State, Sylvester Cabasso, a senior superintendent of police, said the trainees were better resourced to perform policing duties.
The course was drawn to ensure that we build capacity into the Somali Police Force so that they should be able to execute their duties diligently as they go out there in their various workstations. We also expect the community out there to cooperate with the Somali Police Force as they discharge their duties, and that will bring confidence to the community, and it will create safe havens for the people to conduct their daily duties without any fear of any kind.
A trainee police officer, Fardausa Aden Muhammad, said that the training was useful and has contributed to his human capacity building. Kamal Sadiq, reporting for CBA TV.
President Muhammadu Buhari has assured Nigerians that criminal elements carrying arms against the country would be brought to justice.
President Muhammadu Buhari has assured Nigerians that criminal elements carrying arms against the country would be brought to justice. Speaking at the maiden edition of the ruling party's All Progressive Congress Youth Conference held at the International Conference Center in Abuja, Buhari said his administration is committed to tackling the security challenges bedeviling the nation. The president, who was represented by the secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, asked the APC youth to work for a better future for themselves and the country. The president confirmed that his administration is currently dealing with some internal security challenges and reassured the young Nigerians that as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, no effort will be spared in tackling them. There is currently a high rate of insecurity in the country as kidnapping and killings are widespread. The president, however, expressed his commitment to providing lasting peace and security in the country, while at the same time promising that every criminal element that has taken up arms against the peace of the country and its citizens will be brought to book accordingly. While speaking on his achievement, Buhari said there is no part of the country that has not been impacted positively in the areas of infrastructure, agriculture, and economic support initiative based on peculiarities of the regions. Kamal Sadiq, reporting for CBA TV, Nigeria.
Sudan has once again urged the United Nations to replace Ethiopian peacekeepers in the disputed Abyei region on the South Sudan and Sudan border with another force from different countries.
The proposal came during a meeting between Foreign Minister Mariam Al-Mahdi and the UN Director Graham Maitland. Ms. Mahdi said this was necessary due to the current changes in relations with Ethiopia and the loss of its forces' neutrality, which was essential to carry out the mission's task. Last April, Sudan demanded the replacement of the Ethiopian peacekeepers after accusing Addis Ababa of amassing troops in the eastern Al-Fashaka region in Sudan's eastern Al-Qadarif state, an area disputed by both sides. The United Nations Security Council established UNISFA in June 2011 and approved Ethiopian troops to be deployed in the region to oversee demilitarization and maintaining security in the area. The Abyei region lies between South Sudan and Sudan. It was accorded special administrative status after the end of the Second Sudanese Civil War between the Sudanese government and the Sudan People's Liberation Army (SPLA). The war lasted 22 years from 1983 to 2005 under the terms of the Abyei Protocol. The Abyei area was considered to be part of both South Sudan and Sudan on an interim basis.
A well-known youth leader, Farah Abdi Ali, has been shot dead in Paladwene. No group has claimed responsibility for his killing. The regional authorities condemned the attack and described it as a terrorist act. Farah Abdi Ali, a prominent youth leader in Hiran region, was shot dead Monday evening in Paladwene. Initial reports say the youth association leader of Hiran was shot dead at a tea shop in Nur Hawat neighborhood in Paladwene. According to eyewitness, 3 of his friends were injured during the incident, while perpetrators fled the scene immediately. The regional forces also arrived at the scene and pledged they will apprehend the assailants and bring them before justice. The leader of Hirshabelle State, Ali Abdullahi Hussein Gudlawi, on Tuesday condemned the murder of this prominent youth leader in Paladwene town of Hiran region. He has directed the police to investigate the murder of Farah Dir. No group has claimed the responsibility for the attack, and it is not yet clear the motive behind the murder of the young man. This is not also the first time such incidents have happened in the region, but it had previously experienced similar crimes. And with that story of the Somali regional youth leader who has been shot dead in Paladwene, we'll wrap up our program for this time. Thank you very much for being with us. This is me, Hamse Daabjeerin.